Okay, this is going to be a tutorial on how to do inspections, non-permit related inspections in CityWorks. So when you log into CityWorks, this is the page that you're going to see. This is our fire department dashboard. There's actually two fire department dashboards here. We're still working on building these. There's a lot of different things we can do. It doesn't matter which one you're in. The inspections that we do are EHS inspections, general permit or general code enforcement inspections, school inspections, and re-inspections. So in order to do an inspection, if you have the app, you can use the app and it'll bring you to this site. If not, this is the web address. You can access this from any web-enabled computer. It doesn't have to be on the city network, but it's cityworks1.clevelandgis.org. That will take you to the login page where you'll log in and you'll see this screen here. So in order to do an inspection or to assign one, the first thing that we're going to do is, because this is a GIS system, so this is linked in. This is actually a product of Esri and ArcGIS. So this is linked into all of our other ArcGIS systems. So whenever you do something in ArcGIS or Esri, it's everything is location specific. So everything that you do in these systems have to be first identified to a location. So when we do pre-plans, the first thing we do is we draw that polygon on the map to identify the area that we're going to create a pre-plan for, because you always have to identify the location first. So this is the same. So when you come to this main page, the first thing you want to do is to click on this little map button right here. And it's going to open the map. Some computers are faster than others, depending on what layers you're loading or not loading. If you get a whole bunch of layers loading in here that you don't want to load, you don't need to do this, but I'll show you how to do it for reference. If you go to the legend, click right there. It's going to show you all of the layers that we have access to with this system. We have all of our hydrant layers in here. Doing inspections, you probably don't want to see those. If you do, it'll really clutter up the map. You see there's a little eye next to all these items all the way down. The eyes that are shaded out, it means that you can't see that layer. Even though it's there, you can't see it, which is what we want. We don't want to see all those layers. The little square with a checkbox, that means that you can interact with the layer if there's a check in that box. We want to be able to interact and see the code enforcement inspection layer, and we want to be able to see the base layer, which is the streets, and we want to be able to see the city boundary. Those are the ones we want to be able to see. For example, if I start turning these on, you'll see they'll start showing up in the map, and it really clutters the map up. I just turned a few of them on, but the whole city will be covered like that with those different layers because they're so full of information. So we want those turned off. And whatever you do with these layers, once you close out of the program, the next time you open it, it should default back to what you wanted in there. One thing that's important, you want to be able to see these layers, but one thing that's important is this code enforcement layer has to be active where you can interact with it. If it's not, you'll see that I can't select anything. So if that's not selected, and say you go to an area where you want to do a pre-plan, you can't, to select these parcels, you need to use the selection tool, which is right up here, that little polygon. So when I click on that, you can see it doesn't do anything because it's shaded out. It's not blue like it should be. The reason is because I can't interact with this layer. So if I want to interact, if you come across this problem, you want to go to your legend and you want to make sure that the code enforcement layer is active so you can interact with it by clicking that check mark right there. And once you do that, you'll see the little selection tool now is something I can select. All right, so to start, we want to find a building that we're going to do an inspection on. So we're going to go to locate right here. So you click on locate, and we'll put in an address. So let's put in 1645 Superior, and hit enter. And it's going to search for those, and it usually will come up with a couple results. Usually they'll both take you to the same place. They're just different layers. So you'll see if I click on this one, that's the little yellow circle that highlights. If I'm zoomed way out, I do that search, you're still going to be able to see that. And if I click on the other one, then the little yellow circle is going to be highlighted. So it doesn't matter. The whole point of this is to get us to the right building location. So once we have that, we can just close this out, or we can minimize that. And this is our building. So we're going to verify, yep, this is fire headquarters. This is what we're doing. So now you're going to click on the selection tool and just create a polygon anywhere in here, anywhere within that, and it's going to select it. You see the whole thing is outlined and it turns blue to show that it's selected. And the information about that parcel is listed down here at the bottom. So this is just county information about the parcel. This layer comes from the county and it's updated by the county. With that said, if you run into any issues with information, whether that building or parcel isn't there or the information is incorrect, we can forward that up the chain and we'll send that over to the county and they will update that for us. And they're hoping that we can help them to keep these layers updated as well. All right, so once you have that, that parcel down here, you're going to select it by clicking on the check mark. And then we just want to flag this for basically we want to flag it to be able to do work on it. So we want to do an inspection on this building, so we want to flag it. The way you flag it once it's selected is you click this little icon here. It says flag highlighted assets for work management. So once you click on that, you'll see up here, it'll say sending asset to server complete. And now we're done in the map, right? So we can just close this tab and it's going to take us back to our main work area tab where we can do inspections. So now we have that asset flag. So now we're going to create an inspection. Now we're going to go to inspections, click on that. And then you're going to see our different inspections that we can do right here. And you can ignore the work activities. It's just one of the dashboards things that are added in here. But we want to select the type of inspection we want to do. So say we're going to do a general inspection, we're going to select that. And you'll see this is our building right here under currently selected assets. This is our building that we selected. This is 1645 Superior, was brought over. So that's good and it's checked. By default, it will be the last one that you did will be selected. So we click on general inspection and then hit create. And it's going to create that inspection for us. Now, the first place you want to look when the inspection is created is you want to go into the details tab. This is the inspection tab. So this has all the items we're going to check for the inspection. If you click on the details tab and you go down, it's going to show you that parcel. So right here under entity, we want to make sure our parcel is already put into here, which it is. So 1645 Superior. So this verifies to us that when we add this information and we create this inspection, it's going to forever be linked to 1645 Superior because we linked it in the map. Another thing to look at down here while we're in the details is inspections down here. So if you can create a child inspection. So say we do this inspection and there's some outstanding issues that need to be abated and we need to come back. Here you can create a child inspection and it will be linked to this inspection. So we'll show, after we do our inspection, we'll show how to do that. And then attachments here, this is where you can add attachments. So if you're taking photos of the inspection or issues that came up, this is where you can attach those photos to this inspection. All right, so we know our parcel is correct in here, it's selected. And so if we're going to do this inspection, then we would just go and start doing the inspection. Now, if this is a supervisor just assigning inspections, creating them and assigning them to other members, then in here is where you would put the person that it's assigned to. So you would click on this drop down here and say we're going to assign it to, we'll do Tester, City of Cleveland. We're going to assign it to this person. And then when we hit save, it will be assigned to that person. So that person, when they log into their CityWorks account, this will show up as assigned to them and that it's open. All right, so let's get into the actual inspection now. So here, once you do that, once you assign that, you would click save and you can just close out of this. And that person will see this inspection there. All right, so doing the inspection, we have location here. The reason that's there, even though this is linked to a parcel in a location, there's some parcels that have multiple addresses or multiple, maybe even multiple buildings. But if not, you may have a taxpayer that has 5 different businesses associated with that parcel. So this is where we'd identify the specific address of the one that we're inspecting. So we'll just put 1645 Superior in here, and you can put anything in here if it's a single address, but it's a building A or West building. You can put that information in there as well. All right, and the status right now is open, or it could be in progress, initiated. This is for the inspector's benefit to use for our workflow however we want. Inspection date, you would select today. If you're doing it today, if you did this yesterday, then you would select yesterday. And you could put a time in there. If you select now, it's going to put the time and date currently. And inspected by, this is where you would put your name in there, that you're the one doing the inspection. All right, and then you would go through each one of these items and enter them. So the items that are red are items that are required to have an entry, and the items that are not required. So most of the entries are required. If you're not sure how to answer an entry, you can select the different answers and it'll give you an explanation for most of them. So for inspection type, this is a general, just a regular inspection. So we would click on regular. That's going to tell us what a regular inspection is and when we should select it. Then we also have referral. So if we're going to do a general inspection on here, but it was initiated by a complaint or by somebody from city council or an officer on the street referred this as a building that has issues, you would put referral on here. If it's a reinspection, then you would select a reinspection here. So this would only be a reinspection if you're doing a reinspection for some reason, you're reinspecting the entire facility, right? So if you did a full inspection already, and this is just, you're coming back to make sure that they fix their things, you wouldn't be doing a general inspection. The inspection would not be a general inspection. It would be a reinspection, which is a different format than this. So we're going to select regular. And then for address, you need to put an address in. You need to put a business name in of what the business is. A contact name and phone number, if you have it, you can put those in there. For property use, you're going to select the type of use they have. You should get that off of the certificate of occupancy, which can be found in a cella, or it should be posted by the occupant, or they should have access to it. If there is no established use, or if they're not sure and you want to identify to the best of your ability what it is, you can select one of these. If you're not sure if it's an A2 or an A3, if you click on it, it's going to give you some information straight from the state code that describes what an A2 assembly is, or A3, it gives you information. So each one of these has some information to kind of guide you to get the correct use. So for fire station, it's business use. Then alarm system, you're going to select, and a lot of these are compliant, non-compliant, or not applicable. If you put compliant, all you're saying is, and we wanted to put this in here because sometimes the inspectors are a little hesitant to say that something is compliant. You're not saying that this entire system, that there's no problems with it, because you're not inspecting it to that level, and most of us aren't qualified to say that. We're not actual installers or service technicians. So all you're saying is that there's no system troubles and it's current on its maintenance requirements, right? If that's the case, you don't see any issues, you're going to put compliant. If it's not compliant, you're going to put non-compliant, and then you're going to be required to put in the notes what the issues are that you found. So it says right there, non-compliant entry requires notes to be added to this inspection item. So right here is where you click on the notes. For each item, you can add notes. And you would click down here, and then you would put your issues, the issues that exist with that alarm system. All right, and then you go through each one of these, same thing. They each have explanations. And for non-compliant, you're always going to have to put an entry in. They have some of them, like time normally occupied. So you have selections, regular business hours, 24/7, or other, right? So if for example, if we're doing headquarters, it would be other, because we have different occupancies for different times of day. So we're going to click on other, and then in the notes we can put 24/7, 12 people, and 30 more people on second floor during normal business hours. Okay. So you can always type in that information if there isn't a good response there for you. And you're just going to continue to go through. We have egress issues here, hazardous substances. You're just saying if they have them, and then if they're compliant, they have their permit. If not, then obviously that would we would require that they get the permit. That could go to the hazmat specialist. And housekeeping items are here. And then as you go through, now we have some. This is where we can list our violations, right? So if we find a violation, we can click here and type the violation, and then we always want to put the remedy in here. So we can click on notes and put in what they need to do to comply or to abate the violation that you found. There's space for 10 items in here. If there's more than that, then you would have to put it down in the notes over here. And then at the end, you're going to select an inspection status. This is for the overall inspection. The items down here under observations, these were created in order to make sure that we can document and report on the number of violations that we find and the number of violations that are abated that we find. And the reason for that is that we want to get credit for everything that we do in the Bureau. We want to be able to track it and get credit for it. So we want to be able to say at the year-end report that the Fire Prevention Bureau inspectors found 650 violations of code, and 642 of them were abated, right? So we're just showing that we're out there working and what we're accomplishing. And then we can compare that to other years to show what staffing differences have on that, things like that. So that's why these questions are worded the way they are. So say for this inspection, we found 2 items and one of them is still outstanding and wasn't abated. So we're going to say violations found that were not abated during inspection. So even if some of them were abated, if there's even a single violation found that wasn't abated, then we're going to select this. If we found violations but all of them were abated, then we would select this item. And if no violations were found, then we would select this one. So in this case, if we had 2 and one of them were abated, but we still have one open, we're going to select this. And then it explains to you that if there are violations remaining, which in this case there is 1 remaining and there were 2 total, a child inspection must be created under the details tab of this inspection. Select reinspection for inspection type. Doing it under the details tab of this inspection will permanently link the 2 inspections. All right, so that just guides you on what you need to do if you have an open issue that needs to be dealt with. All right, so now it wants to know the total number of violations found. That would be including those that were abated while you were on site and those that were not abated. So in this case, we had 2. And then it's asking the total number of violations abated during this inspection. So one of those 2 were abated, so we're going to say 1. All right, so this helps us track those things that we were talking about that we want to track. All right, down here you can put your observations, what repairs are required, recommendations. These are notes for you to put whatever you want in here. All right, so once this is done, we would go back up to the top once all our information is in there, and we would select this status as completed, and then you would hit save. Now in this case, we don't want to close it. It's not going to let us save it because we don't have everything entered in here. So if I click on save, it's going to give me, or close, it's going to give me a list of items that I haven't dealt with yet, right? So we can't close it. It requires us to put entries in here, but that's fine. So now that we know that we have 1 open violation and the note told us that we need to create a child inspection, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So within this inspection, you're going to click on details. We're going to go back down to the bottom under the inspections section, and we're going to click on create child inspection. All right, so now it's going to ask us what type of inspection we want to select. So in the notes there, it told us we want to select reinspection. Reinspection doesn't make us go over all of the items in the general inspection again. It just has us list what we're there for and if it was abated or not. So you're going to click on a reinspection, and you can see our parcels back down here. It's still selected. So we're going to keep all these things linked together, and then click on create. All right. So now that we're just back to our inspection, or we're back to our child inspection that we just created. So it's going to show us all that information. Now, if we want to create this inspection because somebody needs to come back in 30 days, but maybe I'm not going to be here. Maybe I'm going to be somewhere else, so I can't come back in 30 days. And I want to assign this to somebody else. So again, like we showed before, you would click on details. You would assign it to the person you're going to assign it to. So let's say we're going to assign it to Lieutenant Ruffin, right? And it's not going to be, we're creating it today and we're assigning it today, but it's not going to be completed until 30 days from now. So once you put the name in there and you go to inspections, now you're going to put the inspection date, and we're going to select June 19th. We'll select June 20th since that's a Sunday. And click on done. And then when you hit save, now it creates this inspection. So if we go back to that dashboard where it lists all the inspections, this one will show up as assigned to Lieutenant Ruffin. And to the left of his name, he'll see that the date that it's supposed to be inspected is a month from now. So he'll know that he's not supposed to go to that yet until June 20th, right? And you leave inspected by blank because they're going to put that in when they actually inspect it. You already have who it's assigned to right here. We've already selected that. All right. So now let's go back to our inbox, and let's do by date here so we can see our newest ones. There we go. All right, so this was our first inspection we created, the general inspection, and this is our re-inspection that we created that we assigned to Lieutenant Ruffin. You can see it's open, and you can see right here that the date it's supposed to be inspected is June 20th, so that's next month, right? So now if we want to, let's now say Lieutenant Ruffin is getting ready to go do this inspection, and he says, all right, let me do this inspection, and this is a re-inspection. Okay, so what are the issues here that I'm going to deal with? Because he wasn't the one that did the original inspection. The way he can know that is if he goes to details, and you go back down to inspections, you're going to see the inspection that this was created from listed in here. So to see that inspection, you could just click on the link right there, and it will take him to this inspection. You can see which issues he needs to deal with that are supposed to be abated. So let's go back to Lieutenant Ruffin's inspection. Oh, go back to the inbox here. And we'll go back to assigned date. All right, so let's go back to Lieutenant Ruffin's inspection. So say he reviewed his main inspection. He sees there's some, they fixed the issues, and maybe there was a couple other issues found, right? So he wants to notate that down here. Say, okay, there were 2 issues from this original inspection. There was 1 outstanding, right? So say they abated that, but he found 3 more issues. So total number of violations abated from the previous inspection, he's going to put 1. Total number of new violations found during this re-inspection. So if he found 3 new issues, he's going to put a 3 in here because he found 3 new issues. And then total number of new violations abated during the inspection. So of those 3 issues, none of them were abated. So he's going to put a 0. And the reason we ask these questions, again, is so that we can run reports to track all of this stuff and get credit for it. All right, so if there's violations found, again, he's going to have to create a child inspection because now somebody needs to come back again. You can create a child inspection from this inspection. So he could go to details and create a child inspection. The problem with doing it that way, I mean, it's not a problem. You can do it that way. It's not ideal, and I don't recommend we do it that way because basically it creates a string of inspections. So if I create a child inspection right here, it's going to be linked to this re-inspection, but it will not be linked to this general inspection. So the only way you would be able to get to it is if you went to this general inspection, then to the first re-inspection, then you would be able to see the second re-inspection in that inspection section under details. That was kind of confusing when I worded it, but the best way to do it, if you need to create a re-inspection for this again, is to go to this general inspection, and then you want to create it from this inspection. So you can see we already have one in here. We can create another one. So we can click on create another child inspection, right? And we have our parcel selected here again, and it's going to be another re-inspection, and we're going to click create. Right? Okay, so now we have our second re-inspection. And in the details here, you're going to be able to go right back to the main general inspection from this one. So all these re-inspections are linked back to the main original inspection. Now, if you go back to that main original inspection, which is where anybody pretty much is going to start when they want to review a parcel or the history, they're going to start with this main inspection. Now, if you go to details in this main inspection, you go down, you're going to see all the child inspections that were created off of this original inspection. If you created this child inspection from this one, then this one wouldn't show up here. You would have to go into this child inspection in order to see this one. That's why I always recommend you go back to the main inspection first and create the child inspection from there. All right. And then once inspections are completed, you'll put completed, and then save and then close. It won't let me do that because it's not completed. But if it did, it would save it, it would close it, and then it would come up in here as like this one here. It would just say close. That's a closed inspection. And that's pretty much it. Each one of the inspections, we won't go through all of them. They're all pretty self-explanatory. The EHS inspection, we want to document the inspection and any issues we find here in City Works, and we want that record. But all of the information that you're going to collect for that EHS inspection is really critical to responding units. So that's why we have that EHS icon, that hazmat icon in the pre-plan software. So all you're going to do in here basically is verify. Let's see if we have one. If we have an EHS inspection in here. No, we don't. Here, let's create one really fast just so you can see what it looks like. So inspection. Okay, EHS. So you can see there's no parcel here. So what will happen if you ever go to do an inspection, you forget to go to the map first. You'll see nothing down here. And what happens is you can go through this inspection, you can do it, but it's not gonna exist anymore, because the only things that exist in GIS software are things that are connected to a location. So if you don't connect it to a location, it doesn't exist. So you don't want to do an inspection like this. I'm going to create it just for the benefit of us seeing what that inspection looks like. So this is the EHS inspection. This is the only information right here that you need to fill out. EHS inspections have a lot of information, but like I said, that's filled out in the collector app for the pre-plan software. So all you're going to put in is some basic information, property use, which is always going to be high hazard. Could be high hazard 1 through 5, but and then you're going to put what is the HS substance stored here, the amount that's stored. And this is the main thing. You're verifying that the EHS pre-plan info has been added and fully completed in the collector application. So you're just verifying that that was done. That must be done for this to be a closed inspection. If you don't enter yes in there, there is no no, because that's the inspection. So if you didn't complete it, then you're not completing this. So once you've done that, then you can enter yes in here, fill this other information, and close it out, and you're done. So the main bulk of the work is done in the collector app, using that little hazmat icon for the EHS inspections. So that's about it. And then we have school inspections. They're done just like the general inspection. It just has the specific school items that we look for when we do a school inspection. And we have multiple different dashboards up here. We can create these, change them. We can link this to our Esri dashboards, or bring our Esri dashboards that we already created into here, which is what we have down here. We have to sign in to see it here, but so there's a lot we can do with this. Our information is very useful to us, and we won't lose this information in the future. This GIS information is in a format that is 100% adaptable to any of these other systems, and it's on our server, and we own it, we control it. So that's why this system is very useful for us. And that's about it. Any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.